What's up, guys? It's LA. It's something I've been very reluctant to talk about, and I'm one of the people who will take life and apply it to the word, and vice versa. And some things just it don't make common sense to me. But also I like to spread the truth about lies and misconceptions and deceptions uh, from those who are deceiving people for money, power, or just plain whole ego. To see someone mindless and soulless and not even knowing their value. So today I want to give you guys a couple minutes on uh, my insight on some things. Well, one particular thing tonight I'm gonna talk about is the women's rights movement that occurred or it got sparked up in the late 60s after the civil rights movement. Really got some traction. Mid 70s, things bust wide open for them and for women about being able to apply for certain jobs that they couldn't, the way they're viewed in the public eye. One of the biggest topics of that was uh, being viewed as a sexual object. Now, I find that very ironic that here we are in 2016. Um, some of the most viewed videos are twerking videos. I mean, a girl get online, YouTube, Snapchat, Vine, what it really don't, IG, don't matter. She puts up a 15-second twerk video, and it can get a million hits in like a couple days if she's already built up a rapport with the online community that she's a part of. It's it's almost as if someone knew, someone benefited from the true struggles and the true uh, downfall women had with trying to be respected. I think it's more of anything they wanted to be heard and not just disregarded because they were women because of their gender. Uh, and I believe that was the heart of the women's rights movement. But let's be clear, you know, the same can be said about the civil rights movement. Now, I look at the status of my people, and I am a black man, proud to be a black man. I don't want to be anything other than a black man. So let's be clear about that. But Dr. King and so many others, W.E. Du Bois, Malcolm X, so many people before them, Frederick Douglass. I mean, the knowledge he was trying to say that he was, able to say within the realms of his reality and the time frame in which he was a black man living here in America. He was trying to impart some things upon his people, and uh, it really hasn't translated over the last 50 years. Let's be honest, man. Uh, we despise education as a whole. And what I mean by that is when you think, well, not as a whole, in the majority of our race or our community, um, the expectation for being educated was tremendously diminished by not us, by others who told us we were not smart enough, we couldn't achieve what they have achieved, we couldn't think on the levels or in the spectrums of creativity in which they have. I used to play football, and one of the biggest blatant racist systems that were still in play was hiring a black quarterback or promoting a black quarterback because he could never ever be as smart or catch on to the terminologies that he had to use. He couldn't catch on to the format, the form and throwing balls. He's just too wild. He wants to run versus throwing. I mean, so many stereotypes that went with a black quarterback, and so I think that translated over to a lot of other things that we deal with, and education was one of those things in which we were discriminated upon, and a lie, a, oh my God, a lie that has continually perpetuated its purpose into our future. Even I look at the generation now, and we're reduced to twerking. Black women are some of the most athletic human beings, and I say human beings, men and women on the planet. Uh, she's very beautiful. She has the ability to create her own culture and live in that culture. We see this all the time. Yet she don't find validation in those things, and that's where, a little bit off script here, that's where we got to find validation in Christ, and we got to find validation in what the Creator has purposed us to do. And so it's appearing that she's being reduced to how well she can move the muscles in her gluteus maximus. And you can't use gluteus minimus because it's rare to find that among our sisters. But this is what she's been reduced to. And so I was thinking, I know a little bit about history. I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the world, but I put one and one together, and it's weird to know that there was a whole movement about respecting me, not making me a sexual object. I can do what men can do. I can do the job as well. In some cases, women thought they could do the job better, and they wanted to be looked at and judged upon their intelligence and their integrity. And that's all been thrown away. Now, what am I ranting about? It's time to reclaim your excellence. It's time to reclaim your brilliance. And I'm married now, and I said to my wife, I've had many women over the course of time of my life, you know, um, make themselves available to me in so many words, but I was never really intrigued or attractive to the woman who bared all. I'm being honest. It was that woman who wore that, I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, but um, the long, it's almost like an Egyptian shawl, but it's the long summer dress, and it's kind of made it some thinner material, but it never bared much, but it showed the silhouette of who she was and how she was made and shaped. And I found that to be beautiful, man. I mean, and the sisters who wear African hairstyles, and I'm not saying walk around with an afro, and first of all, afro, that's not necessarily African culture. Braids and dreads and twists and locks is more African culture than afros. So that's a big misconception. So even though you went afro walking around, fist pumping, that's no, that's not necessarily associated with blackness. But the afro was a statement, and it was a statement made back when we were castrated, so many words, from everyone else in society. So we were forced to be something different, and we found attitude and amplitude. Yeah, I'm saying that right. uh, yeah, amplitude in that we was inclined by it. So hey, let's keep our minds focused on our originality, and this is one thing I found that we do better than any other human being on the planet create. And I know you were told throughout history you can't create. You're not good at creating. You may create, but it needs someone else's revision to make it usable and acceptable to the world. Socially, that's incorrect. So back to uh, the beginning of why women felt like, the way they felt during that moment in time. Like I said, I think it's more of just wanting to be heard. Even in the church community, the misconception is that women cannot do exactly what men do. There are some boundaries that have been put in place throughout the scriptures, and I think is from the interpretation of what God is saying and about the natural order in which He created man and woman, and uh, men are more of a shield. They're protectors. They're providers. Um, and so therefore they would naturally be out front. That don't necessarily diminishes the value of the woman. And so I think during a long stretch here in America, women felt their values were diminished. And I know a lot of people try to take that back to the Bible, but let's be clear. That's not what was being said. And if you interpreted that to be that way, then I feel for you and I pray for you. And if you want some interpretation, further interpretation, or in-depth interpretation of what's being said, you can hit me up, DM me on Twitter, IG, Facebook. It don't matter. I would love to help you understand that. But at the same time, sisters, we got to get out of that trend, because now it's been people making money of it on it now. It's dang near some of the twerk videos are dang near soft porn. They're making you a fantasy to men, and I know one of the things that black women struggle with the most, and is what I've heard from personal testimonies and stories, is she feels like no one wants to um, marry her or make her their significant other, put her up on a platform in which her value reigns above all the women in one said man's life. And so do not become the fantasy, become the dream, you know. And most men dream of a woman they can create a family with, a woman who they can trust with their secret, excuse me, their secrets and their, you know, bad or good, help them create a platform to launch the vision God gave them, or create the thing they feel like they have to offer to the world, and to create that. And so women are very important, even in their own right. Women who can go out and take charge and take the reins on their own visions and thoughts, and those visions and those thoughts become another part of that man's visions and thoughts. I mean, it's a very beautiful thing when you become the dream. But right now, the current status, especially among black women, my women, uh, is you becoming the fantasy, and fantasies fade. They do. They really do. So, all in a nutshell, what was it for? We're in Black History Month. People are talking about Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks is the highlight of black women in Black History Month. And I find that to be utterly ridiculous. God bless Sister Rosa's soul. She was very brave in what she did. But we have heroes. And one of my favorite heroes is Harriet Tubman. You're talking about taking some gutty chances. So I hope that we have someone that can perpetuate, and I hope that I'm able to do so, perpetuate the greatness that's in us. And black women, we have some heroes. You have some heroes that you can look at, that you really can look at, and you can take form of what they is. You have such an influence you don't even know yet. So it's time to take charge and take a handle on the reins of that, and stop being the fantasy, but become the dream.